Hello, friends. Welcome back again on our channel. You are Invincible. Thank you so much for taking out time and being with us. Today's interview is going to be such a beautiful interview because we are trying and we are going to amalgamate music and consciousness. I'll try to share a little bit from my side for this dignitary. He is none other than the guitar monk Mathew Dixon. He is a guitarist, composer, music producer, author, public speaker, entrepreneur, and a father. He's also known as the Guitar Monk. He has created cleaning music and meditations using Ho'oponopono that have been purchased and used in over 60 countries around the globe. He is a co-creator of both the basic and advanced Ho'oponopono certification courses and is the founder of Zero Limits Music, a web-based company that focuses on creating Ho'oponopono tools and education. Let me share his website. That's Zero Limits Music. And his latest music album is Aligning to Zero, which is in collaboration with Dr. Joe Vitale. So without further ado, I would like to invite the guitar monk Mathew Dixon with us on You Are Invincible.
Hi, Abhishek.
Namaste.
Ah,
How are you doing?
Shaka. Good, good. Good evening to you. Good morning to me. Isn't it wonderful that we can
Yes,
do
good
that?
evening from India.
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing. So I'm happy to be here, and thank you for reaching out and asking me to
Yes, yes.
be a part of your show.
It's a privilege from our side, Matthew, for you to be on air with us. And I really like your t-shirt. This is one of my favorite signs, by the way. Whenever I'm saying hello to anybody, this is what I do. So I love that design on your yeah. It's from India to you, and it's a Ho'oponopono t-shirt as well. Fantastic. I'm really delighted, Matthew, that you're with us. And if you're ready, we'll start with interviewing you.
Sure, yeah, let's do it.
Fantastic. So the first question that comes from our side is, how did you stumble upon Ho'oponopono? And what inspired you to make this healing music?
Wow, that could be the whole interview right there. I'll try to summarize that. Well, falling into Ho'oponopono is basically being on the quest of seeking. You know, there's so much information out there. There's so many people who have experienced so many wonderful things in their lives, and it you gotta find the thing that works for you. And so it stumbled into my lap pretty randomly. And there's a whole other side story I won't go into, but there was a book that was written by a friend of mine, and he was not my friend at the time. We'd only met a couple of times, Dr. Joe Vitale. And he wrote the book Zero Limits. And when I read that, and I'll be honest, it was not an easy read. There were points where I thought I was reading the book and I thought, oh, I get it. I get it. This is great. And then I go to the next chapter and I'd read and I'd be like, you got to be kidding me, you know? So it was really mind opening for me. So that's how I stumbled into it. And then it just kept going and going and going. As far as it going into music, it becomes a lot of just listening to the divine, you know, accepting the path that you should probably be taking. And then from that point, for me, I had received a song that came to me, and it was like nothing else. I remember because I was on the phone with my mom after I wrote it. It took like 5 minutes to write it, and I said, I think I'm really getting this down, this writing music thing. You know, I was really inspired by it, although I'd written a bunch of songs, but they were all kind of pop and, different genres and things like that. And when that happened in that moment, I received this message like, this is a Ho'oponopono song. And this is inspired by Zero Limits.
All right.
So the song is Zero Limits. And when I had got the opportunity to go to an event where I'm going to call him Dr. Len from now on in the conversation. If you go back to the Zero Limits book, Dr. E. Haleakahu Len is one of the leading amazing people who have brought miracles into the world using Ho'oponopono. And I was playing guitar in the corner of this event that he came in, and when he walked in the room, I happened to be playing that song. He walked in.
What a coincidence.
Yeah, and when he walked in the room, I would say, because there was 200 people there, and they paid a lot of money to be there. I was fortunate to not have to pay. I just had to play guitar,
right.
Which was nice. But when he walked in the room, it was like a rock star walking in the room. I mean, everybody just flocked to him. And he just walked right past everybody, and he walked right up to me. And he looked at me and he said, "That's Ho'oponopono."
Whoa.
And it just shocked me at the time. I was dumbfounded by it. And so through further conversation through the weekend, I told him, I want to make Ho'oponopono music from now on out. I want to do this again. How do I do it? And I said, I want to infuse it into the music. And his first recommendation was subliminally just put the mantra underneath, and that's all you need to do. And then write your music. And that's where it started. So
wow, that's beautiful. I mean, imagine a person just walking straight up to you in this magnanimous arena and just goes up to you and says, "This is Ho'oponopono," and that is when you realize, wow, this is something that I want to do for my life, which is amazing. So before that, you used to compose music and you used to play, but it was nothing related to the spiritual realm. It was more or less for your own peace, as well as entertaining everybody around you, whether it's the public, the audience, or close ones.
Yes and no. I mean, I have my moments. Some of the music I've created was therapeutic for myself.
Right.
And there were times where it was very spiritual, but I wasn't willing to share it. I remember a conversation with my friend Martin one night when we set out to create this band. We did an album called Root, which is actually, I consider it Ho'oponopono music. I didn't know what Ho'oponopono was at the time, but I do consider it that.
Right.
And one night we were standing out, and I said, I'm going to say something to you that's going to sound weird. And I was very young at the time. I was in my 20s. And I said, I create music for the divine. Because
that's a very strong word.
Well, I knew at that point that that's what I was doing, regardless to the fact that, maybe I wasn't making money, maybe I had bills. I just knew that that was the calling. That was the thing that I needed to do.
And this was in your 20s.
Yeah, way ahead of, the journey for some is long and some is short and some in the middle. So I hope I'm in the middle somewhere.
Yeah. So viewers, we're having a conversation with the Guitar Monk Mathew, and really extreme apologies because there seem to be some internet lag that's happening on either of our sides. So please bear with us. But please be on air because this interview is just going to get exciting. He has something very special for us in between the interview, and that we'll get to know in a while. So yes, so in your mid-20s, you actually realized that where you want to go ahead in terms of music.
Yeah, I mean, if I was to go back and really find the roots of it, my parents raised me very metaphysical. I use that term broadly. It's kind of like saying, do you like jazz? Jazz is,
Right.
some people like Benny G, some people like
Right.
Thelonious, so I experienced a lot of things at a young age. And then, of course, in my teen years, I went through all the angst and anxiety, which I now get to see in my own daughter, who's 14.
Right.
It's funny because I look at her and I'm like, oh, yeah, I remember.
It's
But
like living yourself again.
yeah, but when it's established young, and then if you find your way back to it, and it was a long haul. It seemed like a long haul, but it was the journey that needed to happen, and eventually came to where I'm at now.
Absolutely. Awesome. Awesome. That brings us to the second question that I would like to ask you is, what is the power of healing music? If you could explain in depth the power of healing music.
Wow. Okay. I'm sorry. Is that unprofessional to take a drink of water?
That's totally fine. Totally fine.
It's pretty casual, right?
Yeah.
That's actually a very loaded question, in the sense that it's difficult to not answer that question from ego.
All right.
I can't necessarily tell you what the power is of healing music, because each individual is going to experience something different, but very much the same. And that comes down to the one, the source, the I, our collective. I like to call it collective consciousness, but
Yes.
the Ho'oponopono Hawaiian term would be the Aka chord. And so the Aka chord is, I think of it kind of like a tree, and you got the roots of the tree, you got the tree, you got the branches, and you got the leaves.
Right.
All of it is a tree. So when we're listening to healing music, it's a choice, it's our focus. I think that if anything, music is just an amplifier to what we need to bring out in the moment. And so if you are thinking positively, and you can back it up with positive music, and I'm not saying my music, it could be any genre, anything that makes you feel good, because anything that makes you feel something is art. And art is the thing that kind of progresses our
Consciousness, in a way.
Our energy. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So if we kind of continue with the idea of, do I listen to meditative music at this point? Yeah, if that's what gets you there. I have, and this is the thing that I love about music. I don't like where the music industry went, because it's really difficult for new musicians to make a living creating their art. But on the other hand, we all have so much accessibility to music now. I fought for the longest time to not get Spotify or anything like that, because I was like, oh, I know they're not getting paid, but on the other hand, I get to hear their art. I get to see it. And that's a beautiful thing. So you create these playlists, and I have playlists in my phone that are just like, I can literally say to my phone right now, play my happy song playlist, because I just want to feel good, and
Right.
and so if you do that enough times, you can kind of program yourself with music, because music somehow has a way, and we've all experienced it, where you hear a song from years ago, and it pulls you like a vacuum. It just sucks you back to that moment, and all of a sudden you can almost smell things that maybe maybe it was an apple
True.
pie
True.
or something that was cooking at the time with your grandmother, and you're there, and that's the beauty that I think
Exactly.
it has. And I think it's just a tool. That's all it is. It's just one of the other tools that you can
Mm.
use to accomplish trying to move forward and
Mm.
get through your day, get through your week, and seek
Mm.
and achieve and move forward.
Yeah, I mean, you're so right because if you're listening to some music which really connects to your source, which you're able to connect to your own self and the source is inside you, it's just how we are able to connect our micro to the macro. And music could be one of those means where it actually brings us out of any kind of emotion that we're going through at that point of time to an elevated state. And it could be either from the past that you reconnect something which was beautiful at that point of time, and it elevates you to a different energy level. And it is, I feel music is like the universal language for each and every individual who exist. And even, I guess there are scientific experiments done on animals that they also are inclined towards music and they also groove or, listen to music and respond very well.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. My dogs are, you know, I can't show you, but my
Yeah,
dog is right down here, and
right, right.
when I play, she just lays down and goes, mm, yeah, I'm in concert, just me and her.
Yeah, right, right. Yeah, it's beautiful. Music is like life, if we can say so, in a lot of ways. And that,
Yes.
that brings us to the next question. So this is more or less again related to a scientific experiment. There is a research conducted by a Japanese scientist and healer, Masaru Emoto, on how music or sound waves react to the molecular structure of water. And it shows different patterns depending on the type of sound produced. And we all know that we are around about 70 to 75% of water as human beings. So, do you think that healing music which you make has the same effect on people, that you can actually have a transformation in the way the brain waves function in an individual, like they experimented on the water?
Absolutely. Yeah. I don't, um, I think it all comes down to cellular structure. And
Right.
I think we take that for granted sometimes.
True.
We get sold a bill of goods that, you're getting older. These things are going to
Mm,
happen. But cells, I mean, science backs it up. Cells reproduce themselves. They're,
yes,
I read a study. I don't know if it's true or not, but every 7 years, your body rebuilds itself.
it's true.
And and that's the case. But what they're not telling you is your body rebuilds itself in the viewpoint of what you think it should be.
Very,
Because
yes.
because the cells are they're gonna, your thoughts are create your reality in this conscious realm.
Hmm.
So if you think I'm gonna deteriorate in 7 years, that's what's gonna happen.
Mm,
So
mm,
I think that music definitely has that play. I know that water has a lot to do with it too. Um,
mm.
and there's healing properties there. But if you go beyond that and you really step it back a little bit farther, um, everything is energy. That's the bottom line. I mean, the chair I'm
Absolutely.
sitting at, the desk,
Yes.
it's all energy. It's physical to me right now, but if you really took it down to its smallest point, it's all energy.
Mm,
And energy can be manipulated, and it manipulates itself. That's what it does. That's how we have these physical things in our realm. So on our end, why not do whatever we can figure out to do to make it better?
true. True, makes sense. I mean, you're so correct. And at the end of it, everything around us is energy, whether it's sentient or non-sentient beings. And if music can actually create so much of a difference on atoms, electrons, and neutrons, imagine the cellular structure that each human has, or even animals have. Imagine the frequency if we are able to target the frequencies of different levels of through music, and we are able to connect to those different frequencies of each brainwave. I'm sure that through music, the longevity of a person can be increased in the right manner, in terms of the good health, good energies and vibrations. So, if a person,
Not to cut you off there real quick, but and that is why they have found ways where you can use music to destruct bad cells, tumors, things like that.
right,
I don't know that anybody has it figured out yet, but they
mm,
have the concept. It's there. And somatics is basically, somatics shows that there is some type of mathematical formula that is out there. And somatics is kind of, I don't know if there is, it's kind of where, they'll lay sound out, or sound, they'll lay sand
mm,
out, and they will do certain tones vibrationally, and they will
yes,
create these figures. I mean, beautiful figures. The sand will
right,
go in these patterns, and that's somatics, and there's something there. I don't know what it is. I can't really speak on
mm,
it. I know I'm
right,
aware of
right,
it, and I've seen it, and I think that's kind of what we're pushing towards, is to try to figure out, like, well, okay, if we hit this A minor chord right here, and we
mm,
pump it through, and it creates this
mm.
form. What is that form? It's almost like a whole language that hasn't been defined yet.
Explode yet. Yes, yes. And also I was reading about this, that the seven chakra that we have, there are different musical keynotes for the same. And if we elaborate on that, this is what I came across. Like the root chakra, which is the color red, it has a musical note C. The sacral chakra, which is orange, has a musical note D. The solar plexus, which is yellow, has the musical note E. And heart chakra, green, has a musical note F. The color blue, which is the solar plexus, heart, and then the throat chakra is musical note G. The third eye chakra, which is musical note A, and the crown chakra, which is the color violet, has a musical note B. So, I mean, seeing from this exploration and discovery, I feel we can target all the seven chakras with different keynotes.
Yes, yeah, and actually, in the introduction, it said my latest album. It actually isn't my latest album. The Aligning to Zero is actually very old.
Right, right, right,
That's just a little miscommunication. Um,
right.
that was one of the things that came through on
Mm,
that album was, uh, there's actually only 7 songs, and
wow.
they follow that pattern. And
Mm,
not only do they follow the pattern, and this is that album I did with my friend and colleague Dr. Joe Vitale, and
right.
he laid down some beautiful guitar parts in the background, just vibey. And if I remember correctly, did he play bass on that? No, he played. No, yeah, he did. He did the pads underneath. It was a while ago. It's hard to keep up on everything.
Right, right.
Um, each piece is keyed to try to
Mm,
align your energy, and on top of that,
right.
each piece is in the exact same tempo. There
Wow.
is variance because music does have an effect on your emotional state. Pumped up
Absolutely.
and
Absolutely.
and, and so that came through. That was the thing. And then, of course, the mantras underneath. Now, when we got done with that, we realized that doing it one way was fantastic, So we created the next album, which was called At Zero. And At
Right.
Zero actually goes the other direction.
Taking care of the glands, correct? If I'm right, which you have mentioned on the website, pituitary gland and all the glands of the body.
Yeah,
So the
yeah.
music also targets.
It's so if you were to play the two of them back to back, it's cyclical.
Right.
And at that point, that was the most important thing, because we're just learning as we go along too. And if we find
Right.
something that works, we share it.
Mm.
That's it.
So when you play this kind of music for creating while being a co-creator yourself, do you feel it affecting your own self from the
Oh,
internal to the mental level?
yeah, that's a great question. Hey, by the way, I'm gonna go off script for a second. You're really good
Sure.
at this. You're a very good interviewer. You
Thank,
it's very
thank
casual,
you.
professional. So, all right. So back to your question.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Yes.
Yeah, no, I'm laughing because yes, it's where I'm sitting right now. And you probably see there's some guitars in the
Yes, I
background.
can see the guitars. Yes.
Yeah, this is the studio where I record, and
Right.
I end up doing almost everything. So that means I mix, I master, I edit, I tweak, I reverbs, and everything.
Right.
And
Right.
sometimes it becomes a little overwhelming because as I have to sit
Mm.
and listen, I'm
Mm.
experiencing what the music meant to me as I composed it. I'm
Right.
experiencing trying to translate that to a recording to share it with someone else. And I'm also trying to have ears to make it work correctly. But I get pulled out sometimes and I have to walk away. And a lot of times I need I call it a muse. I need a muse sometimes where I've walked down so many times thinking, this is garbage or it's great. you know?
And most of the time, it must be great for sure.
Yeah. But it's because I get lost in that rabbit hole of just trying to
Mm.
run that realm. And
Mm.
also when that's happening,
Mm.
the outside world is also happening. So things
Yes.
are coming up, things are happening. There's regular life is happening.
Right.
And sometimes it amplifies a little bit because I always like to say, with Ho'oponopono, one of the biggest questions I always get is like, I just started Ho'oponopono and everything just seems to be blowing up in my face. Is this normal?
Right.
And my answer is, yeah, it pretty much is. I think it is like, uh, you jump into Ho'oponopono, you start doing the mantra, you start cleaning.
Mm.
Those of
Mm.
you who are watching don't know the mantra, it's please forgive me, I'm sorry, thank you, I love you. It's very simple.
Mm.
But
Mm.
if that was like a mixer, if you were making batter or brownies or something and you turned on your mixer full blast and then you dumped it in, it would shoot out.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And that's what some people experience when they first jump into it.
Mm. Mm.
So
Wow.
once you get past that, I think it's okay.
Mm.
And
Right.
I
I mean,
just went really off track of your question, but
no, no, that's totally fine. No, no, but thank you so much for sharing. I mean, if I can relate with another example which you gave, imagine a tap of water is shut for like months or ages, years and stuff, and then you open the tap. First of all, nothing's going to come out. After a certain point of time, you'll feel okay. There's some air coming out of it, which will increase in intensity. And if you keep opening it, you'll see okay, there's mucky, black, brownish, thick liquid coming out, And again, it keeps going on, and then slowly it becomes translucent. You can see, okay, there is something kind of a water coming out, and then after a while, there is clear, pure water coming. So the amplification of emotions, which is right now shared about when somebody gets to the Ho'oponopono, the first experience, everything is blown right up their face. I feel all the so-called impurities of our own inner self start to come out and get amplified in different arenas of our life. And slowly and gradually, as we keep up to the entire ritual of listening to Ho'oponopono music and understanding from the spiritual aspect, that's when we are able to elevate ourselves to a higher consciousness. And that's where the pure water can keep coming in and we can keep distilling it every single day by going through this. Please correct me if you want to add something on it.
No, I think you just said it better than I did. I'm gonna, I'm gonna borrow that at some point in time. That's
Yes, yes.
perfect a perfect way to try to describe it. Exactly. Yeah, I couldn't add anything.
I'm glad.
Fantastic.
Thank you. Thank you. That brings us to the next question, which is again a little technical, but I'll still ask. So we were talking about the frequencies. The heart frequency is 432 hertz. That's where this frequency is related to, straight to the heart. So can we say that when we play any kind of instrument on that frequency, your heart and body react differently? And if you can give an example, how would it react?
Okay. Um, well, to answer the question immediately, can any instrument play that and do that? I don't know. I'm
All
not at
right.
liberty to say. Um,
Mm,
the 432 hertz, which I have done many recordings using that actually, and
mm.
I was really excited when I got into it. And it's the Pythagorean theory is what it falls
Right.
back
The
to.
theory of Pythagoras. I remember doing it in school, geometry,
Yeah, and again,
trigonometry.
it's mathematics, right? It's
Yes.
planetary
Yes.
circles, and I mean
Exactly.
everything that's behind that. I don't know if it was all him or if it's been added to, but it's pretty fascinating stuff.
It
Um,
is. Yes.
and I got into that. In fact, again, my friend Joe and I, we created an album called 432 to Zero, which was
All right.
specifically pitched. We took all the music and pitched it to the 432 hertz. And I did that with a couple other projects. Um, but internally, sometimes yes and sometimes no.
Mm,
Uh, I don't think it's a be all end all answer, which is
mm-hmm.
the way it likes to get kind of presented. Like,
Mm,
hey, everything take your Led Zeppelin album and pitch it to 432 and now listen to it. It's
right.
probably not. If it was supposed to be, they probably would have done it. And I
Right.
have projects where sometimes I do it and sometimes I don't. And I
Mm,
try to be clear on what the project wants, what the music is supposed to be. Uh,
mm.
Obviously, the frequencies, as we go back to semantics and thinking patterns
Yes.
and mathematical, there are things that can,
Algorithms and everything.
yeah, there's things, I mean, if you're trying to focus on something specific, you can do your research and figure out what it is and find the music that's going to work for that. Or there's apps out that do it for you now. You can take
Oh,
the music
yes. Plethora of apps for everything.
you like. um, so yeah, I think it has its relevance, but I don't. It's not a be all end all answer, Danny.
Mm, mm. Right. Right. So, Matthew, I would like to request you something. Would you like to play something for us, for our viewers? If only, totally up to you. It'll be fantastic for us to listen some music from your side, and I'm sure the viewers. So, viewers, this was the surprise element that we were talking about earlier when I introduced Matthew, and he has been really kind to accept that request, and he will be playing an excellent musical chord with us right now, which he will share what it is and which frequency maybe will be. Yes, please take your time. So, viewers, to experience free Ho'oponopono music by Guitar Monk Mathew Dixon, please visit his website www.zerolimitsmusic.com for downloads, cleaning videos, and ebooks. And we have the Guitar Monk himself with us, who will be playing a beautiful piece for only us on You Are Invincible. We are all ears, Matthew, now. Whenever you're ready.
All right.
All right. All righty then.
Okay, so I'm going to do a little introduction on this piece because, obviously I knew this was coming. You emailed the other day, hey, would you play? I'm like, yeah, sure. I have a standby that I could do that is very comfortable for me. And yesterday I was on the phone with somebody very close to me, and I said, yeah, well, I'm going to do the interview tomorrow, and they want me to play, okay, great. And this person, you're just going to do the normal thing. And I said, no, I'm not. I said, I'm going to stretch out, and
Wow.
I'm going to play something that is actually not completely written. It's brand new.
Wow.
I can tell you that only 5 people in the world have heard it so far. And that was off of a recording on my phone when it was coming together.
Wow.
And immediately this person was like, why are you going to do that? You want them to buy your music. You want them to like it. And I said, I don't make the rules. I said, I just have to follow them. So what you're going to hear right now is what I've been doing. I do every morning, I do a daily cleaning. And in the cleaning, it's a long process. And I have some clients that are private clients that I wouldn't use the word coach, but kind of coach. And they get included in the cleaning. We're on a day-to-day basis talking. But at the end, I always finish out with playing something and just kind of escaping into that realm of trying to clean. So you're going to hear mistakes. You're going to hear, you're not going to hear me at my best by any means.
And
And
you're going to hear your higher self. That's what we want.
Yeah, but I'm gonna let you hear what if you were in my living room in the morning when I'm cleaning, this is what you would get.
Look forward to it. Totally eager.
All right. Okay.
Yeah. That is truly mesmerizing, Matthew. Thank you so much. I went to a different realm.
Yeah,
At
I
times, I was closing my
got
eyes.
and that's
Mm,
sometimes happens for me. In the playing, I kind of leave a little bit sometimes. So
but it was I didn't get to know that something like that happened because I was totally into it. I was my feet. I was tapping my feet, and I was closing my eyes and going to different where I was actually able to visualize that I'm in mid-air, this beautiful like flying like an eagle. There's sunrise happening. The clouds are there, blue skies. Because it was so soothing, it just made me relax completely. So I wanted to see as well. So whenever I was closing my eyes, I could only visualize something like that. It was really mesmerizing. Thank you so much, Matthew, for doing this for us. It means a lot. I know you said that only 5 people in the world have heard about this till now, and now there will be millions. And I'm sure viewers, you also enjoyed this, and you know the power of music. And we have the guitar monk himself, Matthew Dixon, with us. Really, really, a lot of gratitude, Matthew, for doing this because I know for a musician, it means a lot to share something which is still in the works. And what I can understand about you is you are a private person, and for you to get this across to us, it's a lot for you from your side, and I really thoroughly appreciate that gesture.
it really was not my choice. Believe me. It was my as Dr. Lin says, you don't have free will, you have free won't. You know,
Right, right,
what just happened was what I believe was supposed to happen. I had the choice to not do it, but
right.
just do it.
We're truly grateful, no doubt about that. Seriously.
All right, I gotta get
So
my
coming back now,
head.
yeah.
Sorry,
Wow. So,
zoning.
no problem. I mean,
All right,
when you played it, when I could feel that emotion in myself, you playing it yourself, I can understand what emotions you must be going through right now after playing that. So totally can take your time. And I understand that because music is really powerful. It stirs you from inside completely.
Yeah, and if I'm being completely honest, I was maybe I was going to say 80%, and that's exaggerating, as most men do. Um, uh,
Right.
65, 70% in.
Wow.
'Cause, um,
Wow.
when I'm
That's a
in my
lot considering we are online in two different continents through this
yeah,
stream.
it's traveling. Yeah.
Wow.
Um, but when it doesn't always happen, I used to come home from gigs, and uh, my wife would be like, "How'd it go?" And I'd said, some nights I come in, I'd be like, "I was on," and other
Mm,
nights I'd be like, I didn't have it tonight. And even when I don't have it to the general audience, they're enjoying themselves. But for me, when I'm on, I know I'm on. And so those moments that I get to have for myself are the most precious
mm,
thing that
mm.
keeps me, buying way too many guitars, because it's just a you can't buy it, and it's not just.
Yes, it comes to you.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So
Yeah. Yeah, and I totally get the gist of being in the flow because when I'm in front of the camera, when I'm acting or on the realm of after done from the shoot, at times what you shared right now, at times you're totally on even after it is done, but at times you are so mentally and emotionally into that entire zone that you just want to relax and just zone out. So I totally understand when you shared about, after a few gigs you were like charged up, and a few gigs you used to like, okay, all right, I'll just take a break and just relax. So yeah, it definitely happens. And
yeah.
imagine it happening to a level of 60 to 65% right now, which is beautiful. I mean, that stirred me for sure. It's so powerful. I mean, you are awesome. Seriously, I'm
Oh,
not flattering you, but I felt it. So sharing it very, very honestly.
thank you. I know you're
Wonderful.
authentic.
Thank you so much. That I appreciate that. Thank you. So that brings us to the next question. There are many genres of music, rock, metal, and also a simple flute. So is it safe and politically correct to say that rock and metal kind of music can turn someone aggressive and into a hyper person, and a simple flute may have a very calming and soothing effect on people? What do you feel about that?
I'm going to go back to that music as an amplifier. So
Yes.
yeah, there's an energy level there, but I think it's going to pull out of the individual more than anything. So um,
Mm.
you may play metal, and the person wants to drive their car real fast, and you may play flute and the person wants to drive their car real fast. It's
Right.
it's however it's gonna hit you in the moment.
Mm. Mm.
So yeah, I think that's all I have on that. You just that, unless
Mm.
you have.
So, with this question, what cropped up in my mind right now is that few of us relate to certain kind of music. Like for me, I wouldn't be able to relate to rock and metal, but I'm okay with soft rock. I'm more of, I mean, I like all kinds of music, but two things I definitely know key. I definitely know rock and metal is something which is not my taste. So, why does this kind of affinity towards music happen? Is it because of our upbringing, our environment, or we have certain qualities ingrained even before we were born? So this would be a little bit more on the consciousness level kind of a question. Why affinity towards certain kind of music? Like a lot of people only want to listen to soothing Sufi kind of music, only instrumental, which is completely soothing. And few people would want to listen to a proper hip hop. Few would like to listen to reggae. Few, there's so many genres. So, uh, yeah, I felt maybe you can throw some light on this.
Yeah, no, that's an excellent question. The quick answer is I think it's marketing, really.
Mm,
I noticed that early on, where in my teen years it was if you listen to metal, you can't listen to this. But I started playing guitar, and I was studying classical to start,
mm,
and it wasn't my forte at all. Um, and then I discovered jazz, but I was
right.
listening to punk rock and thrash metal, and I was listening to jazz. So yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it was, and luckily I found some people. My friend Cliff, who was like, "Yeah, I play punk rock, but hey, look at this, E13 chord. It's a jazz chord. Teach me that chord." Oh man, that's so I think a lot of it is marketing. It's like, and I think that barrier is being broke down a little bit more. I hope. I
Hmm.
see it mostly with my daughter, because she will listen to the Beatles, and
Oh
then
wow, that's beautiful. Even
this
at this age, that is amazing. In
this
this,
yeah, and this last weekend, she turned me on to a song called "Lazy Eye."
okay.
I can't stop listening to it, and
Wow,
in a completely different genre. And she listens to, I mean, she's just got the spectrum. She's listening to everything,
wow.
which I wish I was doing at 14. I was pigeonholed,
Mm,
and I got Oingo Boingo, I got New Order. I'm happy. You know, so I think that for music, as far as genres go, and everybody trying to do it, I'm at a point where I'm now discovering music again,
mm, mm.
hey, every month. A couple months ago, she turned me onto a song by Cave Town, which was um, "This Is Home." I don't like
Oh
any
wow.
other music, unfortunately, but this one song, I just listen to it all the time. I'm like, I get it, I hear
Mm,
it. It's great. It's just
mm,
fun, because who cares if it's reggae or to
mm.
put a label on it is the artists don't put labels on what they do. True artists don't.
True, true.
Picasso didn't say, "I'm Picasso because I just drew this
Exactly.
here, big eye here and nose going that
True.
way." And
Exactly.
but now we go, "Oh, that looks like a Picasso." Well, it looks like a
Right.
Picasso because Picasso did it first without thinking about it. He just came from inspiration to do it.
Mm,
You know,
exactly.
that happens with everything in dance, writing, music.
Yes.
Pick
Yes.
your genre.
Any creation.
Anything, yeah. and
Yes.
and I always go back to the idea. I mean, even now, we're living in this technical world of Facebook and Instagram and TikTok
Yes.
and things like that, which I try to keep up, but I just I don't put as much effort into it as I should, probably. But
Right.
uh, but like memes. Are memes art? That's a great question, right?
Mm,
I'm stealing this from somebody, but his answer was yes, because anything that makes you feel an emotion is art.
so true.
And so I hold on to that.
Mm,
So your definition of art and my definition of art can be completely two different things. It really doesn't,
mm, mm.
you know, it's not for me to argue whether or not you think that the wood paneling behind you, is that wood paneling, or is that
Yes, it's wood. It's made of wood,
yeah,
and that's a curtain. Yes.
you know, it looks like
Yeah.
art.
Yeah. Yeah. Totally, it is. It is. That's so true. I mean, anything that stirs us emotionally, spiritually, and brings a certain emotion out, which we otherwise neglect. in our mundane life, that itself is art. It could be anything. You're so right. It could be a painting. It could be the climate outside, the horizon, anything on those lines. Music, whatever you say, whatever stirs us from inside, I feel. But categorically, if we talk about music, yes, any music that stirs, that brings a certain emotion out from our soul, which we generally don't live, I feel is beautiful. And speaking about your daughter, I mean, she's so fortunate that she has the exposure to the 50s, 40s, 30s music as well as what is going on right now. And which, because of technology, thanks to a lot of avenues that we have, Spotify, if we may say so. So, they are much more exposed and they can understand that okay, this is the kind of difference between the music that used to exist at that point of time and now what is going on, and correlate and maybe create something absolutely unique.
Yeah, and I'm going to leave it with because music is my primary platform.
Yes.
Um, my favorite quote that I always go back to is it's Nietzsche, and Nietzsche
Okay.
said, "Without music, life would be a mistake."
So beautiful.
And you could probably take that word music and just integrate whatever your art form is and put it in there, because
Yes.
Nietzsche was just
Yes.
presenting the concept on that specific thing. you know
Yes. But it makes a lot of sense. Music, as we spoke earlier, it is a universal language. The language that any country and continent has is not a barrier at all. You just sit in a place, in a room where you have 10 people from different parts of the globe. You put on some music. After a couple of minutes, you'll start people swinging, grooving to that music, and that would connect them so beautifully well, and that would become a new language. So
yes.
music per se, I feel, is so powerful to unite people, especially of whatever is going on in the last couple of years, and especially what's going on right now. I feel if people can connect to music through their soul, they will definitely elevate themselves to a different realm altogether.
Or any art form, and
Yes.
I saw immediately, when COVID hit and everybody was isolated. I was amazed how many people sang and played music, and
Yeah.
I was, wow, look at y'all. you know
Exactly, especially I guess it all started from Italy or Florence when they came out on the balconies and they were singing songs with the intents.
Wonderful.
It
Yeah,
was beautiful.
yeah.
Wow.
And there's that level, and then there's the other level, which is these brave souls that are, I know three chords and I can barely strum them and I can kind of sing,
Yeah.
but I'm at home and I got to do something. And they're putting out these videos, and I'm like,
Yes.
good for you. Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
this is a time to
So
unite.
many, yes, so many concerts happened online. So many people from your fraternity, they actually came together and played for people during the first initial months to bring people out of that entire zone that they were having so much of distress, uncertainty, and a lot of melancholy also. And it was such a beautiful way of connecting to one
Yeah,
another at a human race level.
exactly.
Awesome. I love music, and thank you so much for being on our show to give us a different perspective
Oh,
altogether.
thank you for having me. It's been
Yes.
fun.
That brings us to the question.
I almost thought we were done.
No, no, not at all. I'm not gonna leave you so soon.
We'll
So,
see you all
okay,
day.
just
We got nothing to do.
as long as you're having a good time, I'm having a great time, and I'm sure the viewers are having a brilliant time with Guitar Monk Mathew Dixon. He is a phenomenal musician and an amazing guy. Trust me, having a conversation with you is beautiful. Thank you.
Say more. Say
So the
more.
question is,
Take all the.
we'll keep coming. So the question is the music played by you derived from the principles of Ho'oponopono? Whatever music you play, or it's only one part which you keep, okay, this is, I'm going to make from the principles of Ho'oponopono, and this kind of music I'm gonna do from my own self, from my own soul. So do you like differentiate, or everything that you create is from the principle of Ho'oponopono?
Um, once you go down a path, whether it's Ho'oponopono, whether you become a Rastafarian, or whether you're a Zen Buddhist, or even a
Right.
Christian, or a Muslim, or sorry if I excluded
No,
somebody's
to,
religion, but no matter
right.
what it is, once you're down that path, everything you do in your life becomes that path, whether you're conscious of it. So yeah, everything is, for me, is Ho'oponopono.
Wow.
And I have to use, there's like I like to think of it as a toolbox, basically, for when I find myself in a situation. I go to my toolbox, and
Mm,
it's full of Ho'oponopono things. It's full of things that I've tried, things that have worked,
mm,
and that's where I pull from. So that all becomes part of what you do. So yeah, it's all, if I get called up, where I live, it's a fairly small town. The music community is very tight. We all know each other. Um,
right.
I may walk into a restaurant, there may be somebody playing, and they may say, "Hey, come up and play." Usually it's
Oh,
because they want to go to the bathroom, or they
right.
take a break. But when I do that, it doesn't matter what the genre is. I may be playing a Fleetwood Mac
Mm,
song, or just jamming blues or whatever.
right.
Still Ho'oponopono, but nobody needs to. It's not like I have to run an advertisement for.
Elaborate on it. Right.
Yeah, it's just,
Right.
it goes back to the Aka chord. It's like, if I'm doing it, then you're doing
Exactly.
it because I'm doing it.
Exactly. Correct.
Because you and I, we're just,
Connect. One.
yeah,
Exactly. Yeah.
yeah.
So as long as you go on playing from that frequency, from the hertz that we spoke about earlier, automatically the people who are listening to you will go on that level, in that zone automatically, and it will be Ho'oponopono itself, rather than telling them, okay, this is from this frequency, it's gonna touch this chakra, and this is thank you aspect of Ho'oponopono, and I'm sorry. Rather than doing that, I guess in itself it takes the person in that flow,
Yeah,
in that zone.
it's not my place to dictate it to you or to try to teach it to you. I mean, if you come to me with a
Right.
question, I will offer you what I know, and I will try to help. And I've created certification courses and to try to
Yes.
clear up, like, you know, what I understand at this point in time. And
Mm.
it's like the universe. It's always expanding. It's
Yes.
always growing.
Right.
Um, so with that being said, though, it in a Ho'oponopono, like with anything, not just Ho'oponopono, but when you start to think about the one, and you start to think about the Aka chord and the connection, and the source,
Mm.
uh,
Yes.
you run into a lot of contradictions. It's very difficult for
Mm.
our conscious mind and our ego to function and want to be like, I just discovered this fidget spinner,
Oh, yes.
and
Yes.
and you have to too, because I love it. You know, you want
Oh,
to share
yeah.
immediately because you want to
Yes.
share with yourself at the same time.
Exactly.
You
Yes.
want to feel it pumped up. You want to go with that.
Right.
Um,
Right.
and that's one of the big things, is just to, sometimes
Mm.
take a silence pill, sit
Right.
back, observe, and realize that,
Mm.
this show is really for you. Whoever you are, what's happening. If you're in a coffee shop, or at work, or driving in your car, the show
Mm.
is there for you.
Absolutely. You just have to be enlightened enough to take the step and move towards that in order to connect to that one, in order to connect our micro to the macro. I mean, we have to take that step.
Yeah,
Otherwise, whatever is there in front of us, even that would be like a fog in front of us, and we won't be able to see through.
yeah. And the biggest problem I think is that trying to create a vocabulary for things that cannot be described with words.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
the things that we're talking about, there's not really words that can describe them.
So true.
And
Hmm.
everybody's going to experience their experience, but everybody's experience is part of my experience. So,
True.
yay, we're all winners in the end, basically.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, that's so right because whatever experience I felt when you were playing the guitar at this point of time, it was so beautiful that I may not have been able to express it the right way through words, but the feeling that I felt when you were playing it was sublime because that took me within myself. And when I closed my eyes, I was at peace. I was like, wow, I was able to connect to that higher self through that small piece that you played. And that is the experience that we're talking about, to be able to open yourself up through music, listening to it. And yes, music is one of the art forms, but we're just talking about what we are sharing right now. That to make oneself vulnerable, to be able to connect yourself to the one is so crucial in today's day and age.
Right. But even as you describe like what you were experiencing while I played, as you describe it to me, internally in my mind, I think, oh, he's feeling this. But I have no idea if that's really what you felt because there's
Right.
not a word to describe exactly what you felt,
True.
right?
True.
I have my own perception of what I believe you felt.
Mm.
So it's that little realm. And I feel like we chase that rabbit a lot. We're, hey, everybody, join me. Look at what I'm feeling. And
Yeah,
everybody else,
exactly. Look, I'm looking at this. Do you look at the same thing?
yeah, right, right.
Yeah. Wonderful, Matthew. That brings us to the last question for the evening. But I would really be delighted to have you again on our show with a lot more to talk about. But for today, I will let you be with one last question. So, whatever we are facing right now, the meltdown that is happening economically, the virus that is going on, so much of distress, so much of turmoil, the government is collapsing, and we all know about on either side of the continent, whatever is going on. What do you think is the role of music from the consciousness level? Do you think, what would you tell the viewers in terms of if we talk about music and consciousness? Your thoughts on that?
Wow, that's like two polar opposite questions in one. um,
Okay,
uh,
if you want me to make it simpler, then I can make it simpler after
okay,
you answer this question.
okay.
Okay,
I
so
can, I
what do you think?
can answer it. Just are we going to go another hour on this one? Because this is like a big one. Um, no, so uh, economic decline. Um, I'm going to address that part first, which is it all comes back to perception. You know, I think that for a lot of us, we think that, being in the flow, we recognize it when it's good. That's the easy time to recognize it. I mean, my most enlightened moments were just in bliss. And I was like, wow, I'm in the flow. And right about the time I realize I'm in the flow, I'm out of the flow. It's like, oh, you recognize it. Here comes your ego. Here comes the data. You're stuck.
Right, right.
Um, the flow is also the negative, and you can't. It's like dark and light. It's a pendulum. It's a pendulum, is what it is.
Mm,
So the pendulum sways, right? And you pick your
right.
side. dark, light, dark, light. Right here, when it goes by, is the zero state. And then it goes over
here. Right.
Again, the zero state. And then it goes over here. Now, the zero state is wonderful. We live for that. That's what we want. But if the pendulum were to stop and we were stuck in the zero state the whole entire time, it wouldn't be the zero state anymore. It would just be status quo. Be what it is. And that would be boring. That's not why we're here. That's not why this particular part of our energy decided to create this environment, which is our conscious reality as we've coined it.
Right.
So when you're in the negative, the beautiful thing is to realize that you'll go back to the positive. What most people don't think about is when you're in the positive, you have to realize, enjoy the positive. This is the kind of the fun thing, because you're going to go back to the negative. And somewhere along the line, you're going to hit that zero.
Across the zero. Right.
Yeah. And that is when divinity comes through and it tries to spark you with that little bit of inspiration. And it tries to say, hey, you know what? You shouldn't turn left. You should turn right today and go see what happens. And maybe you do it and maybe you don't, but it'll do it again and again and again. Divinity is not worried about time. It's not worried about how long it takes. Divinity is going to offer you the path that is already laid out. All of this is already done. We're just catching up.
Wow, that's deep.
Is it?
It's really deep and makes it makes total sense. I mean, and we all know that zero is considered to be shunya in Hindi, and it's like related to higher consciousness as well. So when you become zero, you're actually in sync with the universe, in sync with this entire cosmos. So what you mentioned right now, being at zero, is actually connected to that source, to that one. And we keep swinging on either side because of our daily lives, positive, negative, and we keep crossing that zero every single time during the day, maybe a number of times. But what you beautifully shared, to just sit back whenever we hit that zero and take a moment and gear ourselves up to withstand the next challenge, opportunity that comes up. That in itself, I feel it's going to be a beautiful experience.
Well, and most currently, because of where we're at in our world right now, the COVID, it's very easy to look at the negatives.
Yes, very true.
I know two people personally that have passed from COVID. One old and one young, one the same age as me. And you can focus on that. You can focus on, I have to wear a mask, or sorry, I have a bird outside my window that is evidently having a problem. But look at all the positives.
Exactly.
It sounds like an insane thing to say sometimes to specific people. You gotta pick your audience sometimes. But I was talking with a friend of mine, and I was thinking, this is just a beautiful reboot.
It is.
And there's so many good things. And going back to the people who were posting music, all these people doing music, doing art, all these people learning. This is the number one thing I get is the complaints about working from home. And I've worked from home over a decade now. And I'm like, well, welcome to my world, and they're
exactly
used to it, you do it all the time. I'm like, yeah, well, I did, except now at the end of the day, I can't go anywhere because, when we were on we had a lockdown period where you couldn't go anywhere basically, try and get some groceries, and that's about it. And I said, it has its toll on me too. Don't think that I'm, immune to the whole entire disorder here.
Exactly. We're all together in this.
But all these people are finding crafts and spending time and there's so much good that's coming out of it, and it's
Absolutely. I agree to
up to
that.
you what you want to decide. Do you want to be a part of that or not a part of it?
Mm,
And going to the second part of your question with the music, um, I think that's where it falls back to, is like, if music helps you, if it's your tool,
mm,
then use it. You know, uh, one of the biggest things that I try to tell my people that I coach, or clients, or I don't really have a term for it, is be confident with your inner voice.
true.
You
So
know,
true.
don't look to me for the answer. Look to yourself for the answer. You
Mm,
know what the answer is. You know it better than I do. I mean, I can probably dig it out of you and figure it out, and I can,
be a catalyst.
yeah, and I'm here for
Yeah.
support. But it really comes down to you. It comes down to what you need,
Mm,
and everybody's different.
wow. Those are beautiful words. That's the reality of things. I mean, if you look at it, it's everything is inside of our own life, inside us itself. If we are able to connect with that self, automatically we'll know what we want, and hence connect to the macro level, the cosmos, the universe. So that's so true. You know,
Yeah.
you
Oh,
know,
and speaking
I
of level, that piece that I played, by the way, I didn't tell you the title of it. It's called Event Horizon.
the thin horizon,
Event.
event horizon. Wow, that's a
Yeah.
beautiful name.
Yeah.
Wow, no wonder I was able to see the horizon.
Well,
Ooh,
and
okay, now
right
I
before,
can relate.
yeah, right before that, I learned about the fact that scientists call the crest before you go into a black hole. That crest is called the event horizon,
Yes,
and nobody really knows what happens over here. They have their
beyond that.
idea.
Yes, exactly.
That's what the people.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, now that you're sharing it, I mean, I was totally able to connect to what you were playing. That is beautiful.
I almost forgot to say anything.
Wow. But thank you so much, Matthew. It has been a delight for us that you have been able to take out some time from your busy schedule and to be with us on our show on You Are Invincible. I'm sure the audience has really enjoyed our conversation, and especially the piece that you played for us, which again, a lot of gratitude from our side because it is close to you. Nobody knows about it, but you were kind to share it with us. And viewers, if you want to get in touch with Matthew on Ho'oponopono and also in the music, you can experience free Ho'oponopono music by Mathew Dixon, the Guitar Monk. You can visit the website www.zerolimitsmusic.com for downloads, cleaning videos, and ebooks. And you can also subscribe to the latest album that has come out along with Joe Vitale and Mathew Dixon. So thank you so much, Matthew. It has been a delight. And I would love to do this because I like that on your t-shirt, and this is one of my signs. And
Shaka.
also a Namaste Shaka. Also a Namaste from India. And viewers, please take good care of yourselves and stay tuned to You Are Invincible. We'll have many more amazing sessions with Matthew and other dignitaries and amazing episodes coming up your way. Please take good care. Thank you, Matthew. Namaste again. Take good care of yourself.
Thank you.
Bye bye. Thank you.